Hey, good morning, everybody out there. Welcome. We have an awesome day for today with some wonderful guests. Our first guest on this fun Friday, as we're coming to you from Palm Beach, is the person who has become the de facto um, president, if you will, a leader of the Tony Robbins Lions, and a dear friend of Unblinded in the program, Dr. Joan Greco. And Joan has created some immensely unique success in the dental world as a point um, 0.01 percenter, I would say, overall in dentistry, and a point, I think, 2 percenter in the world of surgical practices. Lives in Hawaii, and Unblinded team, if we get Dr. Joan Greco unmuted this morning, that would be wonderful and helpful. And Dr. Joan, are you out there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning. I'm amazing. How are you this morning?
I'm doing amazingly. And you have a very fun weekend, I think, ahead of you, which I will have a privilege of joining. I'm like, what are you up to this weekend?
This weekend, the Tony Lions are meeting at his house. So we've converged on Palm Beach, and we've gotten together, and it's just like a huge family get together, and look forward to, we're going out to see Tony's playing today, and then to his, to the studio where he's going to be doing all of his digital events, which is going to be absolutely amazing. 16-foot by 50-foot screens for 3D experience. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to connecting with all the Lion family.
No, that's awesome. And Fernando, do we have you out here this morning?
Yes, I just got in. I'm fired up. Had an amazing call with the master's students. What up, Joan? Joan in the house.
Hi.
And I'm here. What's up, Sean?
Yeah. Hey, and so Fernando, Joan is getting ready to check out Tony Robbins' jumbo jet with a TR on the tail, and as well as a studio. And to be clear, because I do take issue with people that promote, financial dynamics as sort of like the lead status symbol of the world, because there's people on this line that are far more successful than people with money for contribution impact that you're making in the world. But it does say something when you've had the impact and contribution that Tony Robbins has charitably and otherwise philanthropically, feeding hundreds of millions of people, planting trees like in the tunes of millions, I believe at this point, raising tens of millions of dollars for Operation Underground Railroad. And by the way, having a jumbo jet, like that's a pretty amazing life series of accomplishments. Joan, like speaking into that, like how does all that calibrate for you?
I think that the way it calibrates for me is that Tony's been compensated for what he does, but his big, I feel anyway, his big motion in life is to be able to continue to grow, share that growth and contribution. He is so huge in contribution. So the thing that I love about Tony is he learns something and he wants to teach everybody about it. He wants to share it.
Yeah, awesome. And you stepped into leadership in such a beautiful way. And for people to really get this, and it's not revealing anything secret, but number one, you have there's a Tony Robbins Platinum Partnership. It's $85,000 a year, 3 $10,000 trips on top of it. It's $115,000 just to belong, plus all your travel and things, and opportunity costs. Just in out of pocket though, you're probably looking at somewhere around $140,000. Lions is additional investment on top of it. When you calculate it all in, it's about $250,000 a year investment, number one. And number two, you have to be invited in to the Lions. And with all those dynamics, of course, Joan was, and Joan has stepped into such a beautiful position of leadership. And you want to speak into, Joan, what created that, what caused that, and what you're up to creating in the world as far as, I think it's almost daily. That you're leading dynamics for the Lions. So what's present there? What's happening?
Well, when COVID started, I was invited into a think tank within the dental world with Spear Dental Education, and there were 13 dentists from across North America that were invited, and we were looking at how can we help the dental community in general to be able to move through COVID. How do they handle being closed? How do they reopen? What do they do with their PPE? How do they get their loans? So there was a lot that was happening there. And after about a week and a half, I woke up one morning and thought, oh my God, what better way to have a think tank than with the Lions Group to be able to future forward think? How do we want society to look when this is all over? What do we want to do to contribute to that? So I reached out and we got a group of people. We've got a consistent, maybe 16 to 20 people. It'll go up to 30 people depending. So anyway, we started out with wanting to do masks and ultraviolet lighting and started bringing in guest speakers. And it's just mushroomed into this beautiful group. We meet every morning. We have guest speakers 3 times a week. We do Lion Spotlight, which are the Lion members come on and talk about. And I fashioned this after your rapport building model, which is where have you been, where are you now, where are you going, what's working for you, and what are your challenges. And it's amazing that a lot of Lions can fill those shortcomings in one person's life, and vice versa. So it's been a really beautiful give and take. We've grown a beautiful family. So yeah, we meet every morning.
No,
so I wake up at 4:30 every morning. I mean, we start the meeting at 4:30 every morning, my time.
no, because you're living your beautiful life in Hawaii. And I had so much fun connecting last night. Thank you for my beautiful mask.
You're welcome.
Created, yeah. And so we have a big day today. Can you stay with us a couple more minutes, because we have a second guest that
Sure.
is also a very remarkable person in the world. And I'm going to kick it to Fernando for a moment to please make an introduction. And we're excited to have Stacey Wallace come on. So Fernando.
Awesome. So Joan Greco, love having you here. Thank you. And let me just pull this up right here. And team, if we can please support in getting Stacey Wallace all set up and ready, that would be incredible. And this is that awkward second when I can't find what I had, and now I found it. So now we have Stacey Wallace, who's an executive thought leader. Stacey has used her unique process-driven leadership models to raise companies into the hundreds of millions and sales organizations into the hundreds of thousands. She's also a keynote speaker. She has been a keynote speaker and thought leader for over 30 years, sharing the stage for 12 years with Zig Ziglar, 5 US presidents, and other notable world leaders. Oh, and by the way, 3, she's a creator. She is the author of 8 books, not 1, 8, 5 music CDs, numerous corporate sales programs, and the CEO of Empower You Publishing. Unblinded Movement, welcome, Stacey Wallace.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Sean.
Hey, Stacey, good morning. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm blessed. How are you doing?
I'm blessed as well. Blessed to have you here. Blessed to have Joan here. And Stacey, I mean, obviously what you've accomplished is truly inspirational, powerful, and remarkable. And I think just like, why'd you do all that? I love always starting with why. Like, why'd you do all this?
7,000 years old. And Joan, I'm so excited to be on with you, like jumbo jet. You know, I'm down in Texas, so like we rank everything by jumbo truck. So I've got a massive jumbo truck that I drive around, and just a lot of respect. I know you're in a great group of people there. That's exciting. But Sean, my why is I am eternally dedicated to bringing light and love. I study leadership psychology to a degree of serial study. And really, I've dedicated my life to the mastery of understanding what's beyond human consciousness and tapping into what I know in my personal life has been the source of divine miracles that you can call it whatever you want. It's absolutely impossible for one girl like me who hasn't had a lot of the education that some people would need behind a pedigree to see the results that have happened, because I live in a state of generosity and a consciousness to know that this life is not my own, but that I have the opportunity in one lifetime to give back as much as possible. So my why is absolutely to reflect God in the marketplace.
Amazing. And so, Stacey, I don't think that's something you haven't thought about. So that was an amazing, incredible presentation. What I also understand is like Joan, and I think what Joan so wonderfully represents as an immense outlier, as a professional, as a net professional and a human, is her incredible process mastery, like the counting of things, the sequencing of things. And Stacey, you have such a beautiful introduction of your why. You're heart-centered, you're speaking about God, all the things that you've done. And one of the things that's very present for me often for folks, and certainly in Unblinded and everywhere in the world, is sometimes I think the confusion or the distraction or the dilution of process mastery. And my understanding is you are a process mastery genius and warrior in the counting of things, in the scaling of things. So with that heart-centered love of people, God, and the world, could you speak into like, yeah, there's math and counting of things as well?
Yeah, you know, it's early for a lot of people. And Joan, it sounds like you get up extra early. There's some things that actually trigger our brain to allow us to process numbers, to process strategy in a different way. So just real quick, if you're listening, I just want you to, you know, like, just imagine you're a rap star, and just imagine like you're really good and you're really hyped and you've got a lot of energy and maybe you've got some ego on the front side right now. I just want you to put your hands near your head and go boom. And then, you know, like I'm an extremely blonde hair, blue eyed. You can't see me. I like actually put on fake eyelashes for y'all this morning. So this is awesome to know that y'all aren't getting to see them.
I can feel the fake eyelashes.
Can you feel it? Okay, because that took extra moments this morning. But just say it again. Say boom, because what that stands for,
boom.
And we're in a bit, yeah, boom. You did it pretty good there. Like do it like you mean it, Sean. Like boom.
Boom.
There you go. Okay. Well, that stands for breaking out of mediocrity. And breaking out of mediocrity means that you have to every day position your mindset into a place to receive what you don't know. And so as the executive vice president of strategy of a major telecom company, I have to be in a place to where I can critically think and download information that I don't even have. Working in countries like Dubai and Malaysia and India and Africa, I don't understand all of the things about their culture. I don't understand all the things that I need to understand, Sean, about infrastructure or the technologies. But what I do understand is the power of human connection. And when you begin to process measurements on a level of humanity, you go beyond what is brick and mortar or form. You go into a place or into what I would like to call a realm where there is greater knowledge, there's greater insight than you could ever study for in your lifetime. I love what you guys are tapped into with regards to sharing ecosystems and the collaborative power of coming in. And Joan and I hooked up, her education with my education. We go from being a couple of 22-year-old girls into being probably over 100 years of knowledge. And that's the power of collaboration if we stick together. Well, when it comes to measurements, I have a little formula that actually this morning and last night I was meditating. I was like, how can I put this into a simple formula that everyone can apply today in your business? Because I think practical implementation is really important. So if you're familiar with emergency medical technicians, EMTs, we're going to for just like a second do CPR on your business. And we've been in a state of pandemic. We've been in a state of COVID. A lot of businesses, people are either freaking out or they're going, wow, this is amazing. This has been a perfect storm. More people are on the freaking out side. So what do? EMT. I had a house that burned down, Sean. And my little babies were in the house. We got them out. We got my dogs out. It was a devastating fire, 4-alarm fire. But I learned some things about how EMTs go to work and how firemen go to work. And number one is to evaluate the situation. So right now, the question is, what is the friction that you're experiencing, whether it's pandemic, whether it's racial tension, whether it's finances, maybe you've hit a really hard time with your small business or your entrepreneurial endeavor or your big business. What is that friction saying to you? Mm-hmm. So I, as EVP of strategy of this corporation, they've hit a plateau, and it's my job to come in and outthink, outwit, outlast the thinkers in the room in order to help evaluate, why are we where we're at? Why are we at a plateau? What is it saying? And what is begging for our attention? So if you have marital issues, evaluate the friction. What is it saying? What's it begging your attention for? What should you have done before now, but you haven't done it yet? You've been putting it off. Don't push away that friction. Evaluate it, embrace it. And then remember, tension is your friend. Tension equals trajectory. So even if in your marriage you're experiencing tension right now, look at it and say, how can this work together for good so that we can be in a better place post-pandemic than we were when we went into pandemic? Number two, after evaluate, is to measure. I found out that our company was measuring the wrong things. Sean, we were measuring numbers. I love what you said at the beginning, and you said, you know, we don't want to measure success by accolades, by the things that we achieve, or by how big our trucks are. We want to measure success by the things that are providing the most contribution. So we were finding that with the pandemic and people not being in the offices together, everything became about numbers, numbers, numbers. Are we hitting our OKRs? Are we hitting our KPIs? And so it hit me, KPI, key performance indicators. What if there's a better measurement? Are our people happy? Are our customers happy? What is our key peace indicator? Are our people at peace? So our KPIs switched mid-pandemic to how do we evaluate, are we as a company bringing greater peace and value first to our customers and our staff and our team, and then secondly to those extended people that we will be reaching because of our customers, our clients, and our staff. And then the third thing is transition. So EMT, transition means take what you found today when you evaluate your business, when you evaluate your marriage, when you evaluate your kids, when you evaluate your health and nutrition, then you measure it. You know, what am I measuring? How am I defining success? Is it the right measurement? And then three, make the transition. The transition is do what you got to do it now. Don't hesitate, and feel a sense of urgency and emergency. Emerge out of pandemic with a sense of urgency to be different, do different, think different. The definition of emergency is a sudden, urgent, usually unexpected occurrence or occasion that requires your immediate action. So Sean, EMT today, we have a saying on my talk show that says, when you have a setback, don't take a step back, but get ready for your comeback. Because sometimes a setback is a set up so that you can rethink, reboot, and reinvent your life. And Sean, that is today how we're measuring practically, evaluate, measure the right things, and then transition in what you know you need to do.
Yeah. Awesome, Stacy. Love it. And love all your acronyms and rhythm and your congruence and emotional energetic transference.
I rap.
Level.
Beautiful. So if you ever need me to rap, Sean, I can.
Yeah, let's hear you rap a little bit. Do you have any rap that you can throw out of this, or are you we do that? You want to do that now or some other time?
Oh no, I'm just kidding. We will do that another time. Oh, I will do that. But I don't want to give you all my sweet sauce.
We're real and raw. Like we jump in fast and hard. So listen, it's absolutely inspirational. And at Callagy Law, I don't think I've ever shared this. You know, we created our mission. We're expanding it now. But our original mission on my law firm side of life, which by the way is in a different side, wrong frame. It integrates completely into Unblinded and the mission here. But at Callagy Law, we sat back and said, like, hey, what are we here to do? And we're going to reset this vision shortly. But the vision has been to fundamentally change the way people feel about attorneys, one client at a time, through our caring, our urgency, and our aggression. And sometimes people don't necessarily correlate caring, urgency, and aggression. But as we look into like the unblinded world, as we talk about rapport building, agreement formation, process mastery, you know, and influence mastery, self-mastery, all these dynamics fitting together, they really do stand for and align with what you're sharing. It's that degree of urgency. It starts with caring, right? You have this degree of urgency, and aggression could be a word that's uncomfortable for some, but it's like being direct and moving forward to create. Because when those emergency people go in and somebody's dying of a heart attack, they get everybody out of the way and they're hitting CPR. They're bursting into a house and they're not listening to people scream and cry and be like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. Like out of the way, like time for action, creating results. And then we can calm down and take care of everybody and nurture and love and celebrate. But when we have the house burning down or about to burn down, we got to get into massive direct action. Does that how does that resonate for you, Stacy?
Well, it's complete resonance, because like when I started off with the house burning down, what happened in that situation, Sean, was I drove home. I had one of my babies in the car with me. The other one was in the house with my husband. We were having a party of about 25 people coming over for a birthday party. And when I drove up and I saw that billowing black smoke coming out of our house, the first response you have as a human being, if you stay in your human consciousness, is panic. Like, what is going on? And because your world is getting shifted. But again, if you go to EMT, if you go to that evaluation model, and I have a big belief that nothing can get to me unless God somehow wants to get it through me. So there's a story in the tension. So as I looked at that house, my first response was, what am I going to do? Where are my kids? How do I get the dogs out? The second response was, all things work together for good, if you truly believe that. And so I had to step back. I went, of course, the fire chief would not let us in the house. They couldn't identify the source of the fire. So until they identify the source of the fire, it's a no-go zone. The interesting thing is 2 weeks before that fire happened to our house, I had a dream, and I move a lot through dreams, and God's blessed me to be able to do that. 2 weeks before that fire, I dreamed that it happened. So I had woken up the next day after the dream, and it was so surreal that I went throughout my house, and I used to be a country music singer, so I took all my masters of my CDs, I took all my my books that had my scrapbooks, everything that was non-replaceable. And I put most of that in my front office. I hung pictures closer to the front of my house. So when it did happen, I knew exactly where I needed to go to get out of the pressure of being on the outside of that house. So when the fire chief finally said, all right, one trip in, of course we had 25 people, they stormed the house. One guy's like coming out of my window with my underwear drawer. I'm like, please let it burn. We don't need that. But when we went in and came out with that, what I learned, I came out and I just sat on the curb. And I looked at the house, and this, of course, it was it was a very big fire. It was a 5,000 square foot home, so it was a big fire. People had pulled out their lawn chairs to watch it burn, had their beer beside their lawn chair. I mean, it was a long fire. But what I learned that day is I'm sitting there.
By the way, speak some really weird stuff about humanity at times. But
is that not the craziest thing? I know. But because we were in such a state of peace in the panic, people around us were panicking. The firemen let us know later that they live for that moment. They very seldom get to go in that kind of fire. But a journalist came up to me and said, ma'am, are you the house owner? And I said, yes, I am. And they said, well, you seem very calm. And I said, what I said a minute ago, I don't understand what's going to happen out of this, but something good is going to happen for my family or for the people that I am in alignment with. And that day, Sean, I wrote a song that it's just a really simple song. And it said, thanks for the joy that you've given to me. Thanks for your love unconditionally. Oh, thanks for peace in the midst of the storm. God, I thank you. Yes. And it goes on, and it's just a song of gratitude. How can you be in the midst of an emergency and feel a sense of complete tranquility? That is being able to tap into something that is not of this world. And Sean, I mean, this is our first time for me to see you, and we haven't really connected, but I really believe that's the community that you're building, is you're teaching people to live beyond form and matter, and realize that when we tap into that other dimension, it's amazing. We can go through COVID and it not touch us.
Yeah. Stacey, thank you so much. And alignment, real quickly, my why at this point, I've evolved it many times over time. And it simply comes down now to, I believe that God's given us talents. This is my belief structure, and you can call God what you want, call him the universe. But for me, it's God, and I believe I've been given talents. We've all been given talents, and I'm going to be accountable for them. And I don't want to have buried them or squandered them. I want to have expanded them as massive as I can, as a positive source for contribution and good. So thank you for being here and delivering a beautiful shot of fun energy, goddess energy, beautiful, wonderful energy with Zeus focus today, aspirationally. And thank you for that. I really appreciate you, Stacey.
Oh, thank you. My privilege. What a great way to wake up.
Thank you. And Joan, any final from you before we connect up? I think we're going to be connected for the next number of hours and days. So any final? Did you have Joan drop off? Maybe we did, because she's going to that seminar that I'm about to be behind on.
Yes, she is not here, Sean.
Awesome. So thank you, Nando. Thank you, Stacey. Thank you, Unblinded Movement. It is Fun Friday. In our hearts, caring, urgent, and aggressive, taking massive zone action. expanding your ecosystem, confront your fears, take massive action today. Have a beautiful, fun Friday. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Peace out.